Today I'm going to show you how you can get a super realistic shadow using colored pencils. The trick to making a two-dimensional surface look three-dimensional is to create shadows and highlights that give the illusion of form, or an object in 3 dimensions. Shadows appear when an object is pushed back into space and light doesn't hit it as much, or where one object overlaps another and blocks the light. So all you need to do to create shadows is to create dark versions of whatever color the object is that you want a shadow on. It's best to stay away from black when creating shades or shadows because black tends to make a color muddy and dirty looking. Finding a darker version of the color in your colored pencil set can work. However, many times that color won't get super dark, and also it doesn't always read as a realistic shadow because it looks like a little bit of a different color that's darker. Today I'm going to show you how to mix complementary colors to create true shades. This is going to lead to creating realistic looking shadows, which in turn is going to help you create more realistic artwork. I think you're going to find that having this color theory in your back pocket is going to be an extremely useful tool when creating not only colored pencil work, but in all different media. Knowing that complementary colors make deep, rich shadows is going to be one of the best things you ever learn when it comes to color. Before we learn how to mix complementary colors, let's just take a moment to look at them and see what they do in a color scheme. Complementary colors are colors that sit directly across from one another on the color wheel. They're also known as opposite colors. Complementary color schemes are often used by graphic designers for sports teams and companies because they really stand out when they're next to one another and catch your eye right away. When complementary colors are mixed with one another, they cancel each other out and make each other darker. So I'm going to show you how to layer 2 complementary colors to create new colors, in this case, shades. Before applying this technique to an actual object, it's best to start off with some value scales just to get used to using the colors. A value scale is basically a little chart that goes from the very darkest value a color can go all the way to the lightest, almost white. I'm going to start with a red value scale, so let's take a look at the color wheel. Directly across from red is the color green. So I'm going to take out a red colored pencil and a green colored pencil. This is a 50 pack of Crayola and they're very clearly labeled. Other colored pencil sets, especially the more expensive ones, tend to get really fancy with their names, so you might have to experiment to see which is a true red and a true green, but we're using Crayola today and they keep it simple, so all you need to do is look for the color that is labeled green and the color that is labeled red. Always start with the opposite or complementary color. Because I want this value scale to look red, I'm starting with green. Using the green, color medium to light just where you want the color to look its absolute darkest. It's very important that you don't apply too much pressure with the opposite color because you want the other color to completely cover over it. If I was to apply full pressure with the green, when I tried to color over it with the red, the green would still show. I basically want the green to be kind of like a secret, like I never used it. It's just there to mix with the red and make the red darker. So it's not like blending. It's really, I call this color mixing in the classroom because you're mixing the 2 colors, you're not making one color go into another. So take this time to practice going medium to light instead of dark to light. The middle of the value scale marks the medium color that your color can get, and in this case, that's pure red. That means you want that green to fade to nothing before you get to the middle of the value scale. Now that you have a really smooth transition, medium to light with the green, you're ready for the red. Color full pressure as heavy as you can over all of the green. At this point, you do not want to lighten up on the pressure. You want the red to be completely solid over the green. Where you've colored medium, it's going to be your darkest red. As you got lighter and lighter with that green underlay, the red is automatically also going to get lighter and lighter, even though you're applying full pressure. Continue to apply full pressure all the way into the middle of the value scale. Remember, you want the middle of the value scale to actually be pure red. You need to make sure you're coloring solid on the white base of the paper for a little bit before easing up on pressure and working into your light values. From this point on, you're just shading with one color. Color as heavy as you can in the middle of the value scale, and then as you move towards the light values on the right, slowly ease up on pressure, getting lighter and lighter until you are almost at white. Remember the little tricks I've shown you before. Color in ellipses, overlap the same spot in different directions, and use a nice sharp pencil to get a smooth transition into white. It's really important that if you're trying to create the illusion of depth on a surface, that you have the darkest dark value and the lightest light value that reads as white or a highlight on the top of the surface where the light hits it most. So practicing this value scale from the darkest dark into white will give you the practice you need and get you ready for creating the illusion of a three-dimensional object or space on a two-dimensional sheet of paper. You can leave your shading just like this and it'll have a nice textured look of a colored pencil. However, I like to go in with a white colored pencil and apply full pressure to all the white spaces I left in my shading, and it gives my artwork a nice solid look. For this part, just remember to continue to apply the pigment in different directions and ellipses in order for it to stay solid and not turn your beautiful shading into a streaky mess. If you find that the white colored pencil lightened up some of your rich midtones, you could always go back with the original color, in this case red, and color over it a little bit to get them back. And there you have it, a beautiful value scale where the shadow is created with its complementary color, creating a true dark version of the main color and not muddied up with a black colored pencil. Now let's try that again, but this time instead of using green to make red darker, let's see what happens when we use red to make a darker version of green. Let's go back to that color wheel to pick two different complementary colors. I'm going to go with orange and blue. I want my value scale to look orange, so that means I'm starting with an underlay of blue. Now to create a blue value scale, I'm going to start with orange. My next two value scales are going to use the colors purple or violet and yellow to make each other darker. We do run into a problem when it comes to putting a purple shadow on yellow. And it's not that it doesn't work, it's that it works a little bit too well and we need to modify. Let me show you what purple looks like if I put it underneath yellow as a shadow. As you can see, it does work, but it actually muddies up my color as if I used black. So I want to warm up the color I use as a purple. In my Crayola pack, I'm going to use Orchid instead of violet. Any other pencil set, just find a warmer purple to put under your yellow and start experimenting. Then you'll have a nice deep warm shadow that won't make your color look all mucky and gross. You can use either yellow or golden yellow and still get really nice results. This is an example of what the golden yellow looks like with Orchid underneath. The golden yellow is just a little bit deeper than yellow, and I tend to prefer it. So for this next value scale, I'm going to use Orchid underneath golden yellow. Now for the color combination that doesn't seem to make any sense. How would a bright color like yellow make a deep color like purple even darker? Well, it works, and it works really, really well. So well that you actually have to be really careful to not go too dark with the yellow. Yellow is such a bright color when you put it on the paper that sometimes you can't tell how much you're putting down. I'm going to take this back to real time for a second so you could see how I did struggle to cover over the yellow with the purple. You can still see some yellow peeking through at this point, and I did have to go back and work to really cover over it, and it felt like I put barely anything. So this one does take a little bit more practice than the others. For the last two value scales, I'm going to show you how this technique works with any opposite colors, including tertiary colors. In the 50 pack, we have a blue-green, again Crayola calls it green-blue, and a red-orange. Those two are across from each other on the color wheel, so first I'm going to layer blue-green under red-orange, and then I'm going to layer red-orange under green-blue.
makes the best value scales.
If you want to try some of these value scales on your own, I'm going to include the PDF in the description on this video so you can print and color your little hearts out. I hope that this video opened up new ways for you to use color. I'll be making future videos on ways you can apply this to your artwork, and until then, you can see it in action in the Op Art Illusion videos that I already have posted. If you find that these videos help you and you want to subscribe, please do. I always appreciate the support. And until next time, happy creating!